Hello, this is Rev Brad, and this is the From the Touchline podcast. For the next several weeks, the podcast is going to look, feel, and sound a bit different. I don't know where you live, but for many here in the United States, the season of Consumermas has begun. Consumermas, a made-up word, is a replacement word for Christmas, because the truth is Christmas has been replaced by a frenzy of retail trying to capitalize on a season of spending. Beginning November 15, the Orthodox and Celtic Christian traditions observe the season of Advent. This gives us 40 days before Christmas. I've found that the intentionality around this time of year can help provide a bit of an antidote to the consumerness and the hollow feelings that accompany this time of year. You see, the truth is, we are waiting for something more than opening packages from friends and family on Christmas Day. We're waiting for a Messiah, a Savior. It is Jesus Christ, the Lord. Since the 8th century, the Church has been singing the O antiphons. An antiphon is a short sentence sung or recited before or after a psalm or canticle. The O antiphons are so named as each line begins with an O. Perhaps the most famous of these are the words and verse which begins, O come, Emmanuel. Altogether, there are 7 antiphons. They are typically said or sung in the evening of the week leading up to Christmas Day, but for our intents and purposes, we will learn and hear one each week. I'll give a short reflection, followed by the antiphon said and then sung. I pray that this time helps you and me to slow down, to savor the season, to reflect on our need for a Savior, and to let the cry of our hearts echo these words of old. We begin right after this. This week, we look at the third Advent Antiphon, and it's a curious one. The words go like this. O come, thou rod of Jesse free, thine own from Satan's tyranny. From the depths of hell thy people save, and give them victory o'er the grave. This curious title, Rod of Jesse, comes from Isaiah chapter 11. There, the Hebrew prophet declares God's words to the people. In verse 1, he says, a shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. That word shoot, or rod, comes from a Hebrew word which has several uses, one of which means a live stick or branch. And here we're talking about Jesus' lineage, and the prophet Isaiah speaks of one rising up from the family of Jesse. This root of Jesse would be someone who Isaiah later describes in verse 10 as a, quote, banner for the peoples. The nations will rally to him, and his place of rest will be glorious. Now, to understand this more fully, we have to understand that Isaiah is writing at a time of much turmoil. Israel as a nation has been split in two. The northern kingdom of Israel was embroiled in battle with Judah and the Assyrians. And this is all happening during Isaiah's lifetime. But Judah had its own problems, and Isaiah prophetically predicts that Judah would ultimately also be taken into captivity. It's a discouraging and depressing time. But he also writes about the hope that the people of God could have about being ultimately restored after a period of time being spent in captivity. So here in our antiphon, we can see that there is a hopefulness that we can hold on to. There is a cry that we can utter forth to God because we need a champion. We need someone to rise from the ashes and be that rally point for all the peoples, for all the nations. Consider the state of our world at this time. There seems to be an endless list of wars and calamities and troubles that continue to plague our news feeds, and we see evil and devastation seemingly come closer and closer to our own homes and lives if it hasn't already touched us. Think of some of the headlines that maybe you and I have interacted with most recently. 3 Swedish football supporters shot and killed in Belgium just a few months ago. The Israeli and Palestinian war, halting the Israeli Premier League and causing deep pain as those national teams play through international windows and face different teams. The number of earthquakes and storms that have brought devastation and loss of life during this past year. And these are just some of the few mentions. These are just some of the few stories that display deep, deep rifts of controversy, hurt, pain, evil, division. This idea of a rod or a root of Jesse is a title specifically connected to the Messiah. Now, the Messiah is a long-awaited redeemer and champion for the people of Israel. Christians today know and acknowledge this Messiah as Jesus of Nazareth. He is the champion. He is the banner for the peoples and the rally point for the nations. When we consider Isaiah's words to a people on the brink of chaos and calamity, and ultimately who were devastated, this imagery of the living branch has a particular deep meaning. Here in Colorado, USA, where I live, we seem to have had a rash of wildfires over the past few years. These wildfires are typically devastating to particular parts of our forests and the landscape of our beautiful state. One fire a few years ago came so close as to just even burning through part of our urban towns north of Denver. What's interesting, though, is if you drive through a burn area after a year or two, where there was once devastation, you can see new life springing forth. New buds of trees and flowers and grasses coming forth out of the blackened earth. My friends, this week you and I might be feeling devastated, laid low for any number of reasons. It could be one of the tragic calamities I referenced earlier. It might be something different, a loss of a loved one, the loss of a job or a dream or some hope that we've been holding to. It may be that we've had to recently look death and dying in the face. My friends, there is a champion for you and me. His name is Jesus. He stands as a banner. He is one that we can all rally to, and his promise is extravagant. It is a promise to save from hell, to give victory over death and the grave. My friends, whether you're on the front lines of conflict or you're in the turbulent midst of one of life's storms, no matter how devastating or devastated you feel, look for the rod of Jesse. Look for that sprig of life and hope that is perhaps growing up right before your eyes and in the unlikeliest of places. Place your hope in Jesus, the Messiah and champion, the rescuer of people like you and me.
O stock of Jesse, you stand as a signal for the nations. Kings fall silent before you, whom the peoples acclaim. O come to deliver us, and do not delay. O come, thou rod of Jesse, free thine own from Satan's tyranny. From the depths of hell thy people save, and give them victory o'er the grave. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.